So today we are going to talk about the triggers of loneliness. What are the situations of our lives that make us feel even more lonely? What are the circumstances, the surroundings, or not the surroundings, that make us feel more lonely? And you will see that there are more occasions that make us feel lonely than what you think as loneliness. So let's start with some examples. We feel lonely, first of all, when we are going through a separation, when we're going through breakup or through a divorce. So the separation from our partner makes us feel lonely. And it makes sense because the identity that we used to have before, the couple's identity, is not there anymore. We need to figure out our life from scratch, new habits, new routines, and that's because we're not together with a partner anymore. So that's one case. Another one, when we move to a new country, to a new city. I don't know if you have experienced the life of being an expat and international and moving to another place or remotely working from another place, then you will see that you feel that you are, especially the first few days, weeks, or months, you will feel that you don't belong in that environment. And that's lonely. When we go to a new job, for example, that's also a new environment for us. We're trying to figure out, how am I going to fit in here? What is it that I need to do in order to feel like I belong? Everybody is very well matched with each other and they know each other really well, but I'm not there yet. And that feels lonely, right? Another one, being a single parent, carrying the burden of all the, not raising a child, but all the things around raising a child. So, when, for example, you know that you have to cook by yourself, you have to take care of the groceries, you have to take care of the house chores, and plus, you have to raise another human being, and you're responsible for that. And you have to align your work schedule with the school schedule, and you have to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And that feels lonely because you are doing that all by yourself without the support of another person. You get what I mean, right? Another one is, and I think we all know about that, when you grow old, when your friends, your partner are not in your life anymore and you're alone, and every day less and less people are around you, and that feels very lonely and isolated sometimes. Something that maybe you have experienced, but maybe you haven't connected the dots. We're also feeling lonely when we are in a relationship, when you feel disconnected from your partner, when it's a long time since the last time that you did something together, you had fun, you shared something important, you really felt that I know you and you know me. And that's a long time since you have done something like that and you have felt something like that. And that's loneliness in a relationship. Yeah, sometimes we don't need to be outside of a relationship in order to feel lonely. And the same applies with friendships. Have you experienced loneliness in your friendships? For example, you have been friends for a long time with some people, but then you notice that as you grow, you have different values, you have different priorities, you have different ways to have fun or to enjoy or to grow, and then you grow apart. And that can also feel lonely if you still believe that there's something there in this relationship and you're still hoping, but then at the same time it doesn't feel as connecting as it used to be in the past. Not to mention, of course, the loneliness we feel when we lose somebody, a loved person from our life, and life is not the same anymore. We're trying to figure out how we are going to be without that relationship in our life, how we are going to function and think and work and act without this person in our life. It's a new beginning. You notice that in all these situations, there's some transition in the majority of them. There's some transition entailed. Also, when you don't have family support, either your family is not available, they're going through something which requires their full attention, or maybe you live far away from your family, or you cannot contact them very often, or the communication and the connection that you have with your family is not deep, is not authentic, is not a connection that makes you feel that I can share my struggles with these people and they can support me back. So when there's this emotional distance, then it feels very lonely. Another type of loneliness, another occasion, another trigger of loneliness is loneliness caused by social media. This is when you see other people's life in social media, and you know that. I mean, it's a common secret. Everybody knows that. Everybody in social media projects only the very positive, the perfectionized, idolized perspective or impression of their life. Even though we know it, still, when we're on social media and we see other people's lives and images of a happy life, we feel like sometimes we're doing something wrong in our life, that we are not as them. We are feeling less important. We're feeling less in general. And we're feeling like we don't belong with these people anymore. And that's lonely as well. Another type of loneliness is when you have been supporting somebody for a long time. And what I mean with supporting, you're supporting them because they're struggling with their mental health or with their physical health. And you have been supporting them for a long time. Huh? And of course, you do it because you love them. But at the same time, it's again a one way relationship when you give, but there's no space, or you feel like there will be no reciprocity if you try to get something back from that. Lonely again, right? Another one that I like very much is the leadership loneliness. Yes, it's when you are a manager of a team, when you are self employed, when you lead a team or a company. That's a little bit of different loneliness, because that entails that your team and the people working for you or with you don't exactly grasp what it is that drives you. There's something about the leader that they know in their heart their mission, their vision, what the purpose of that, the direction of what they're doing. And for them, it's very clear, crystal clear, and they have passion for that. But the people who are working for them, maybe they don't feel so passionate about that specific goal or mission. And that can differentiate emotionally. We're talking emotionally, right? Emotionally, the leader from their team. And that can feel lonely. Now, as you notice, I used some words in repetition in all these different categories. One of them was the different. We're feeling different from other people. And that is the real meaning of loneliness. It's not like I'm being alone. No, that's different. You can be alone and still feel connected, and you can be surrounded with other people and still feel lonely. So we're not talking about the physical solitude and aloneness. We're talking about the feeling that I am disconnected from other people. I am different from other people. I don't fit in yet, or I have tried and I don't fit in with this within this environment. So these were different, the real meaning of loneliness in all these examples that I said. I am different. I don't fit in here. Another word that actually resonates with all these examples, another phrase is, who am I? So during all these periods of loneliness, in the examples that I mentioned, we are feeling again that we have to reinvent ourselves. We have to find ourselves, either because we broke up with our partner, or we lost a loved one, or we are in a new job, or we are in a new relationship. There can be a lonely feeling there accompanying us, where we are trying to find who we are. It's like an existential crisis, right? And you can definitely resonate with that when you think that when you go through existential crisis, yes, indeed, it feels very lonely. You don't want anybody around because this is a very personal process. But at the same time, you're reinventing yourself. Who am I? Who am I without this person? Who am I without their support? Who am I when I am struggling with my health or my mental health? Who am I when I am in this relationship but I don't connect with this person anymore? Who am I when I am a leader? What kind of leader I want to be? So, in all these questions, loneliness comes together with this existential quest for truth, for who I really, truly, authentically am. So, I hope I gave you an idea about loneliness and what are the triggers of loneliness. And you can see how often we feel lonely, right? We think that loneliness is something that comes one or twice in our life, but actually it's there in many occasions, in many cases, and we feel lonely more often than we think. Let's normalize loneliness because only when we start talking about that, we can realize what it is that we need and what it is that we need to do in order to feel less lonely. It's normal that we feel lonely. Nobody ever escaped that feeling. But the good news is that you're not alone in that. We are all together in that and we're feeling lonely. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for your questions and your comments, which are more than welcome. And let's start talking about loneliness more because paradoxically, we will feel less lonely. Have a good day. Take good care of yourself.